Strait of Hormuz. 4:47 hours local. The bow wake of the USS Paul Hamilton cuts a silver seam through the oil-black water. Visibility is 4 nautical miles. Radar returns are clean. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer is 22 hours into a routine freedom of navigation transit, hugging the 12-mile median line that separates international waters from Iranian territorial claims. In the Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer monitors 3 AN/SPY-D sweeps per second. The SPEC-Y radar paints nothing but commercial dhows and a distant Omani patrol craft. The watch is calm. The watch is raw. At 4:49 hours, 5 fast attack boats depart a concealed inlet near Keshem Island, IRGC Navy Paycop 30 hulls, each retrofitted with twin Nasser-1 anti-ship missiles. They do not ping, they do not hail. They run dark at 52 knots along the thermal scatter layer that blinds surface radar inside 6 miles. At 4,051 hours, 2 Iranian Kilo-class submarines vent compressed air and rise to periscope depth 41 nautical miles to the east. Their torpedo tubes are already flooded. The first Nasser-1 launches at 4:52,017 hours. Its rocket booster ignites 2 kilometers from Paul Hamilton's starboard beam. The SPY radar detects the plume in 0.4 seconds. The tactical action officer shouts the words that will start the war. Vampire, 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 inbound bearing, 092. The Aegis weapon system transitions to auto special. 4 M162 evolved Sea Sparrow missiles erupt from the forward Mk-41 vertical launcher in staggered 2-second intervals. 3 Nasser-1 rounds are intercepted at 1.8 nautical miles. The 4th slips the engagement envelope. It strikes the destroyer's portside superstructure at a 47-degree angle. The shaped charge warhead detonates against the SLQ-32 electronic warfare array. 11 sailors are killed instantly. The ship's emissions control goes dark. Fire suppression floods compartments 2 through 5. Paul Hamilton maintains propulsion, but her eyes are burned out. At 4:54 hours, CENTCOM declares a mass casualty incident. At 4:58 hours, the National Command Authority is notified. At 05:04 hours, the President authorizes defensive posture escalation to DEFCON 3. The war did not begin with a declaration. It began with a radar blind spot. 72 hours later, Operation Scorched Veil begins. The United States response is not hasty, it is surgical. For 3 days, intelligence fusion centers compile a strike package of 312 verified targets. The list is not generic. Each coordinate has been cross-validated by RC-135 Rivet Joint Signals Intelligence, RQ-4 Global Hawk Persistent Surveillance, and human assets inside the Iranian Ministry of Defense. The targets fall into 4 kill chains: nuclear enrichment infrastructure, ballistic missile production, IRGC command and control nodes, and integrated air defense. Natanz, Fordow, Arak, Parchin, Isfahan, and 14 lesser-known facilities are flagged as priority alpha. At 01 hours Zulu, the opening salvo begins. 4 Ohio-class guided missile submarines, USS Florida, USS Georgia, USS Ohio, and USS Michigan, surface their vertical launch tubes beneath the Arabian Sea. In a coordinated 90-second window, 154 Tomahawk Block V cruise missiles are released. Each flies a terrain-hugging profile at 550 knots, weaving through the Zagros Mountains toward pre-map coordinates. At L1:14 hours, 20 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers cross the Iranian coastline at 50,000 feet. Their bomb bays carry 80 GBU-57 massive Ordnance Penetrators, 30,000-pound bunker busters specifically engineered for Fordow's 80-meter-deep enrichment hull. At 01:17 hours, the Fordow fuel enrichment plant receives 6 GBU-57 impacts in a precisely spaced sequence. The first 4 penetrate the mountain overburden. The 5th detonates inside the centrifuge hull. The 6th seals the facility. At Natanz, 2 F-45C squadrons from the USS Gerald R. Ford suppress S-300 PMU-2 batteries with AGM-88 GAG-ARGM anti-radiation missiles. The S-300 radars go silent in 47 seconds. F-15E Strike Eagles follow with GBU-72 penetrators. Natanz's Cascade hulls collapse at 01:23 hours. The Iranian Integrated Air Defense Network, built painstakingly over 15 years, is 63% degraded within the first 90 minutes of combat. But Iran is not passive. Iran has a doctrine, and the doctrine is called Mosaic Defense. At 01:31 hours, Iran launches its retaliation. The ballistic avalanche, the first wave, is 312 ballistic missiles fired in 11 minutes. Shahab 3s, Ghadar 1s, EMAD variants, K-bar Shekins, Fatah hypersonics. The full inventory of Iran's aerospace force unloads toward U.S. bases at Al-Udeid, Al-Dafra, Ain al-Assad, Erbil, and Prince Sultan. A secondary wave of 190 Shahed 136 loitering munitions launches from Yemen and southern Iraq, Houthi and militia proxies activated on cue. The missile defense architecture does what it was built to do. It saturates. At Al-Udeid, 2 Patriot PAC-3 MSE battalions engage inbound Shahab 3s at Mach 4.5 intercept velocities. 91% kill probability holds through the first wave. The second wave degrades the envelope. 4 Shahabs impact the flight line. 3 C-17 Globemasters are destroyed on the ground. 47 U.S. service members are killed. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier strike group, positioned 180 nautical miles south of Bandar Abbas, activates layered defense. SM-6 Block IB missiles engage Iranian anti-ship ballistic missiles, the College Fars and Hormuz 2 variants, at exo-atmospheric altitudes. The Phalanx CIWS engages 3 sea-skimming Nor cruise missiles that penetrate the outer ring. 2 are shredded at 1,800 meters. 1 detonates 40 meters off the port quarter of the USS Bunker Hill. The Ticonderoga-class cruiser takes fragmentation damage. 9 sailors wounded. No fatalities. But the real Iranian gamble is not the missiles. At 02404 hours, the Strait of Hormuz closes. 3 Iranian mine-laying vessels disguised as cargo dhows release 184 EM-52 rocket-propelled naval mines across the 21 nautical mile choke point. Simultaneously, Ghadir-class midget submarines launch coordinated attacks on commercial tankers. 2 VLCCs burn. 1 sinks. Global crude oil futures gap 47% in the overnight session. The Fifth Fleet responds with a surge. 4 Avenger-class mine countermeasure ships, 6 MH-503E Sea Dragon helicopters, and the mine warfare command ship USS Devastator begin clearance operations. The task will take 19 days. Meanwhile, the skies above Iran transform into a contested battle space. F-22 Raptors establish air dominance over Iranian airspace within 72 hours. The IRAF's aging F-14 Tomcats and MiG-29s are destroyed in the air or on the ground. Iranian fighter aviation ceases to exist as a combat force by day 5. And then comes the variable no one modeled correctly. The cascade node doctrine predicted by day 9, the strategic picture fractures. Iran's missile inventory is burning at a rate of 180 to 240 rounds per day. U.S. intelligence assesses the remaining ballistic stockpile at 31% of pre-war levels. But the true collapse is internal. IRGC command and control was hauled out by a sustained campaign of targeted strikes. The opening wave eliminated 14 senior flag officers in the first 96 hours. The replacement generation lacks experience. Coordination between aerospace force, navy, and ground forces degrades. Formations improvise. Improvisation becomes dispersion. Dispersion becomes isolation. On day 11, the first regime crack appears. Protests in Mashhad, Isfahan, and Shiraz are not suppressed, because the Bassaginets previously tasked with suppression have been redeployed to defend coastal installations against U.S. amphibious fence. The Islamic Republic's internal enforcement machine is stretched beyond its operational ceiling. On day 14, a faction within the regular Artesh military, the non-IRGC conventional army, refuses an order to fire on civilian demonstrators outside Tabriz. The refusal is not reported publicly. It is, however, reported to CENTCOM by human intelligence within 41 minutes. The United States makes a strategic decision. It does not invade. It does not occupy. It contains, degrades, and waits. By day 19, the Supreme Leader convenes an emergency session of the Assembly of Experts. The session does not conclude with a decision. It concludes with the Supreme Leader's sudden relocation to an unknown provincial sanctuary, a move interpreted by observers as capitulation in slow motion. By day 23, the Strait of Hormuz is partially cleared. Commercial traffic resumes under U.S. Navy escort. By day 28, the Iranian nuclear program is assessed by the IAEA as functionally terminated. Fordow is entombed, Natanz's rubble. The centrifuge cascades that consumed 4 decades of clandestine engineering are gone in a single week of precision ordnance. On day 31, an announcement comes not from Tehran, but from the city of Qom. A coalition of clerics, artists, generals, and opposition figures declares a transitional council. The IRGC leadership denounces the announcement. It does not, however, intervene. The IRGC cannot intervene. The IRGC no longer controls the battle space, the airspace, or the information space. The war does not end with a surrender document. It ends with a vacuum. By day 41, the Islamic Republic of Iran, a governmental structure that endured 46 years, 8 presidents, 3 regional wars, and decades of sanctions, ceases to function as a unified state. Final casualty assessments, compiled 6 months after cessation of hostilities: United States 847 killed in action, 1,912 wounded, 3 warships damaged, 11 aircraft lost. Iran, estimated 14,200 military personnel killed, 38,000 wounded, and a nuclear program erased from the strategic map. Regional civilian casualties, approximately 4,600, concentrated in missile impact zones and collateral damage from air defense intercept debris. Global oil markets, 190 days to full stabilization. What the escalation ladder teaches: the war was not won by firepower alone. Firepower was the mechanism. The true determinant was the brittleness of the losing regime under sustained, precision, multi-domain pressure. 3 lessons emerge from the reconstruction. First, the opening provocation is rarely the decision point. The Paul Hamilton strike was tactically small and strategically catastrophic. Wars in the 21st century do not begin with declarations. They begin with radar blind spots exploited by adversaries who have studied the defender's doctrine for years. Second, integrated air defense, once penetrated, collapses exponentially. Iran's 15-year investment in S-300 variants, domestic Bavar 373 batteries, and layered AAA networks was degraded by 63% in 90 minutes. No amount of depth compensated for the absence of 5th-generation countermeasures. Third, regime durability is not measured in military inventory. It is measured in the willingness of second-tier enforcement units to obey orders under sustained external pressure. When the Basij could not be spared, the streets were no longer controlled. When the Artesh hesitated, the transition became inevitable. The prediction model calculated an 81% probability of regime transition within 60 days of sustained U.S. strategic air campaign, assuming Iranian nuclear infrastructure was destroyed within the first 120 hours. The model proved accurate to within 9 days, but accuracy is not vindication. The cost was measured in burning tankers, shattered bulkheads, grieving families, and a Persian civilization plunged into uncertain transition. No tactical simulation, no matter how precise, captures the human weight of what the escalation ladder produces when every rung is climbed to its terminal step. The prediction is complete. The warning remains. Wars of this scale are not fought because they are winnable. They are fought because every alternative has already been discarded. And when that threshold is crossed, the only remaining variable is the speed of the descent. The Strait of Hormuz flows open again. The silence over Fordow does not.